Growing up, I went to a Baptist church, and my pastor always had this phrase at the end of the sermon, if you're not 100% sure that if you died today, you'd go to heaven, raise your hand, and he'd send out something, about baptism and all those sort of things. But that kind of stuck with me because one of the things that I guess stops me from fully believing is that I don't feel like I have enough faith. I know the Bible talks about doubting. There's the story of doubting Thomas in the Gospel according to John. But I guess at what point or how much faith do you need?
The faith of a mustard seed, says Jesus, right?
Yeah.
You don't need... First of all, let's define what we mean by faith. There's two kinds of faith. There's belief that, and then there's belief in. Belief that is getting evidence that God exists, that Jesus rose from the dead, that the Bible's telling the truth. That's what we've been doing tonight. We've been given evidence, apologetics. But all the belief that in the world won't get your moral transgressions forgiven. For that, you've got to go from belief that to belief in or trust in. And this is true even in relationships, right? There's a difference between belief that and belief in. When I first met my wife almost 39 years ago, I got evidence that she would be a good wife, but all the evidence in the world didn't make her my wife. I had to take a step of trust in her to ask her to be my wife. And in a momentary lapse of judgment, she said yes, okay? That's the difference between belief that and belief in. What we've been doing tonight is just all belief that. For you then to say, I want to go to belief in, all you need to do is to say, Lord, I repent of my sins, and I want to accept your free gift of salvation, and I want to follow Jesus. In fact, if you go to Romans 10:9, it says, if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus has been risen from the dead, you will be saved. That's all you need to do. Now, from that point on, now God is going to try and take you from where you are to becoming even more like Jesus. That's the process of sanctification, and that's a lifelong process. So while we're saved by faith alone, our faith is not alone, meaning that we will then want to do good works out of gratitude for what he's done for us. Okay? So if you're having trouble, and I'm kind of this way too, I'm not a very emotional person. I don't read devotions or any of that, I'm not looking for this wow kind of mystical experience. But if you want to get a sense of what God did for you, go to the Psalms, go read the gospel accounts of what Jesus did on the cross, and I might recommend you watch The Passion of the Christ. Have you ever seen that?
I believe so. Years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's 20 years old now.
Yeah.
But that is a very powerful depiction. Some things can better be seen than read, quite obviously.
Yeah.
And so if you want to get a sense of what he did, go there. But look, none of us have 100% certainty because we're not infinite beings. There's always a possibility we could be wrong. But in order for us to have freedom to either trust in Jesus or to distrust and go our own way, God has to give us some space. This is why C.S. Lewis famously said in the Screwtape Letters, God cannot ravish, he can only woo. In other words, he's going to give you enough evidence so that you know he's there, but he's also going to give you enough distance so you can go your own way if you want to. That's what love does. So what right now is an issue for you? What's preventing you from going from belief that to belief in? Or you still need more belief that?
Yeah, so I guess part of it is I'm not sure where to turn to define belief. I don't know. I feel like my faith and my logic are seem like sometimes they're at ends with each other. So I guess it's more belief that than belief in. Literally, I wouldn't exist without God, not
right.
in just the literal sense, but also my mother competed in Bible Bowl growing up, and if it wasn't for her competing in Bible Bowl, she never would have decided to go to Indiana of all places. She never would have met my dad, and I never would have existed. So quite literally, I owe my existence to God. But I guess it's just I'm not sure. And I guess that's just kind of like a problem everyone faces, but I'm not sure what God is and how He works. And
how many books have you read on this?
in terms of like from the Bible, or
yeah, apologetics books.
Oh,
because you said the issue is more belief that than belief.
yeah.
in.
So I've read some C.S. Lewis, and I was glad that you referred to him tonight. But he's really well. I've read. I don't know if you're familiar with Frank Peretti.
Yeah.
I grew up actually on Frank Peretti. I read the Cooper Kids when I was younger. But between, I guess, C.S. Lewis and Frank Peretti, I think would be the only authors that I've read that are kind of deal with that topic.
All right, well, if I had a book, I'd give it to you, but the university wouldn't let us sell books. So normally I give books away. But check out I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. Also go to our YouTube channel, Cross-Examine, 2 words. And also look up other people like John Lennox, William Lane Craig. Those are 2 of the bigger apologists out there that have great material. There are many others. J. Warner Wallace, Greg Koukl, Alexa Childers, Natasha Crane. These are all people that you can go to for evidence for Christianity. So if that's really the issue, there's enough evidence I think that will enable you to go to belief in. Because there's really no rule, there's really no reason for belief in. That's just your heart. That's just your will. I want it.
Yeah.
All right?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.